So far, we have discussed Retroviridae family avian mycosis. So, two important virus is left over with us. We have discussed it today. Just now, we shall be discussing the equine infectious anemia virus. This one is also important one. And once upon a time, during 60s, it was just a menace. It was I can say, a type of sardar for veterinarians. Because this disease causes a huge loss, economic loss. Means horse, whosoever has been infected, that you can say that could not be used for further. Actually, horses are basically used for hard work. They are known for their stamina. So once they lose stamina or work efficiency, so you can't say that it is any way useful for our purpose. So this is somehow, and in the during 60s, many can say attempts has been made just to control it in somehow. There is a lot of surveillance, and looking into this importance of this disease, Equine Research Center at Hisar was established by ICAR, and that institute and its the director, Dr. B.K. Uppal, contributed significantly for control of diseases. After little effort, the disease has been eradicated, almost eradicated. Recently, it has not been reported to that extent. So this was all about this background, that why we are studying and what is the importance of this virus. Okay. Now, in fact, equine infectious anemia, that is EIA, occurs in horses. The equine population, basically horses, mule, like that. But they are characterized by their antigenic variability and persistent infection, because I have just told you that retrovirus has the tendency that its genome integrates with with complementary genome. I mean to say that RNA is converted into cDNA with the help of reverse transcriptase, and that integrates with the host cell. So by the time it is it remains integrated with the host cell, so it is producing all the proteins and whatever it is required for viruses. And time to time it is producing progeny virus also. So that goes long way. But if it is thriving in the cytoplasm, so somehow after some time, cytoplasm will not allow, or they would not be able to replicate or remain comfortable in the cytoplasm. That's the basic tenets of the virology, viral replication. Even in DNA viruses, they are replicating in the nucleus of the host cell. So they are also thriving there, but they have limitation, because the host cell doesn't allow that you stay for a longer period, because in the meantime they are replicating. Our cell internal resistance mechanism comes into force, and they are creating trouble for these viruses. So you will observe that viral infection doesn't persist for a longer period. It will be of 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. So course of disease doesn't last for a longer period. It is acute in nature. It will be of shorter duration, because incubation period as a clinical course will be of shorter duration. So these are the common features. However, if there is a persistent infection, then what happens that this persistent infection means they are thriving for a relatively longer period. I am using this relatively means comparison to other viruses, and so they are thriving there. So automatically it will be persisting there and regularly troubling the host cell, somehow immunologically, physiologically, like that. So so due to this persistent infection, the horses become weak. They lose stamina. Their body weight is lost. They could not work hard or run for longer duration at faster rate. So this EIA is sometimes called, termed as swine fever, because it occurs in swamp and transmitted by insects. So in swamp, marshy places, there is a lot of population of different species of insects, and they are biting because they are hematophagous in nature, means they are blood suckers. So once they are sucking the blood, and if any horses required members of equine family is infected with those viruses, so they are sucking those blood, and again they are if they are you can say targeting other organs. So by doing so, they are transmitting, these insects are transmitting viruses from one horses or one equids to other, like that, and there is a prevalence. So that's why in the swamp there is a lot of machara insects and all that. Okay, so the fever occurs in this equine infectious anemia occurs in these swampy areas or nearby areas. So that's why we name it as swamp fever. So questions may be asked many times. Swamp fever is in horses are caused by, like that, or sometimes in fact infectious equine infectious anemia is also called as swine fever, hay fever, like that. They will be giving multiple choice questions sometimes, or there may be consist short notes also regarding swine fever. So you must remember the standard name at one point of time, and at the same time you also try to remember its vernac or common name, because see what happens that sometimes examiner asks that whether he is knowing or not, or it is in his mind, and it explains. Okay, so try to remember all these vernac or common names also besides the standard name. Okay, infectious equine infectious anemia viruses. So let's look regarding the taxonomy. So it is placed under the family Retroviridae, so family lentivirus. I was just discussing during this class in the first class of these viruses. So lentivirus, I have told you that it is leftover portion, and I shall be discussing. So here this lentivirus, other were alpha, beta, gamma, like that. There were lots of epsilon, all these viruses were there. So it is placed under the subfamily lentivirus. It is again placed in alpha virus. I have told you that alpha retrovirus is important for us, and species is equine infectious anemia. Okay, so in equine infectious anemia, alpha virus, I told you that for veterinary importance, this alpha virus is only important for us. So just remember, because many times what happens, they are asking that equine infectious anemia is an example of lentivirus, like that. So lentivirus is a term, this term is important, many times used. Now it has been placed under the as a category of subfamily, but but previously it was just equine infectious anemia is caused by lentiviruses. We had also been taught by our teachers that lentivirus includes equine infectious anemia, like that. We have read through these old books. Still you can find it that in old books or previous editions, still they are sometimes using, but now the information has been elaborated. There are a lot of information, so ICTV has placed it as a subfamily, and they are using it. So lentivirus, it is placed under the Retroviridae. It is a lentivirus caused by genus alpha retrovirus, and name should be remembered because this virus is important one, equine infectious anemia virus. Okay. Now, equine infectious anemia virus is closely related to Medibizna. It is in your syllabus, so we shall be discussing in the coming classes. So, antigenically, it is closely related. Okay. Caprine arthritis encephalitis virus, bovine immunodeficiency. So, like this immunodeficiency HIV, bovine are also having can say disease that are caused by retroviruses like HIV. Okay, and human HIV, simian immunodeficiency. So all these are related to them. But we have to focus because we have to study this Medi and Visna. This is an important one. No, genome, it's a RNA, simple RNA virus. Its length is 8 kb in length, and it has a 3 principal genes: GAG, pollen, and N. Okay, so these 3 are regulatory genes that controls the replication of viruses. This here is it has been elaborated. The GAG gene encodes structural protein needed for virus assembly and function. Okay, Cool gene encodes the reverse transcriptase. Okay, and integration in the host cell means they are encoding RT and integrase, because once the host cell DNA is incised and this viral DNA attaches there, so there must be some glue-like structure so that it can be pasted with a common sense we can say. So these viruses attaches there and integrase fixes the base the we are using Fevicol for pasting something or pipettes. So this integrase enzyme fixes it with the host cell, means they forms the they have a activity like the ligase enzyme. So integrase is also an enzyme that are encoded by pol, and N gene encode spikes proteins. So this is all about this genome of the lentivirus. Lentivirus includes some family members such as Medivizina. Okay, so it has a tendency of persistent infection. They are always causing infection, and due to persistent infection, I have just been telling you that there is a debilitating infection. Means horses will slowly and gradually will become weak, and body mass will be lost. So just like wasting disease, there is a tendency of gradual loss of body weight, you can say health condition and all that. Okay, so these are used for. Now in for equine infectious anemia. Equine infectious anemia or swine fever, I have been just telling you, swine fever is a chronic infectious disease of equids caused by lentivirus of retrograde family. Still we are using, and many a times it has been asked, so you just remember equine infectious anemia, lentivirus simultaneously, don't get it confused of the family. Okay, so what is the epidemiology? Means where it is occurring, what is the mortality, morbidity, how it is spreading, where, which are the reservoirs, how it is transmitted, how it is spread, how it precipitated. So all these contents are dealt as a whole under the heading epidemiology. Okay, so susceptible host. First, we shall be discussing the susceptible host. Means which type of hosts are susceptible. So it's very clear till now that Equidae members of Equidae family are the susceptible hosts. That includes horses, ponies, donkeys, mules, and zebras. Okay. It is transmitted through hematophagous insect or biting insect. Okay, these include horsefly, deer fly, stable fly. Okay, Stomachus calcitrans. Okay, and sometimes mosquito. Basically, it is caused by horse flies. Mostly, it has been shown diagrammatically here also. So flies, especially this stable fly and deer fly are are the most notorious agent. Okay. Our horse flies are most effective natural vector. Means you must remember that at least that horse flies are chiefly responsible for transmission of EIAV from one host to another host. And I have so many times I have told you. Okay, so for the arbovirus, we till now we have remembered, we have learned. First is under the arbovirus. First is togavirus. Second is equine African horse sickness virus. Third is the equine infectious anemia virus. Okay, so these all are categorized in arbovirus. So whenever it is asked about this arbovirus, so you can explain, you can name all these things. So you try simultaneously by learning one by one viruses also try to group it into different categories, because many times viruses of poultry, viruses of cattle, viruses that are infecting sheep, goat, like that. So try to group it, because many times what a general have a tendency that they are asking that whether you are knowing or not that some of the viruses of cattle, viruses infecting poultry. Sometimes they may be asking regarding sheep and goat, like that. Okay. And it is also transmitted to mare to foal. Okay. From the mare to foal, it may also be transmitted beside. So these type of transmission are called as transplacental, means during the embryonic growth, if the mare is infected with EIAV, then through placenta viruses reaches to the fetus, and by birth this foal will be infected with the EIAV, and its condition will be deteriorating, vertical transmission. And there may also be chances that these viruses are secreted in the milk of the mare. So while they feeding the milk of the mare, the foal may contract with the infection, and they get their such type of infection through contaminated colostrum. It may be colostrum also in initial stage, or it may be later on through milk also. Okay. So infection is spreaded primarily through mechanically. I have told you through in utero. It is just vertical transmission is also called as in utero or intrauterine transmission. Okay, so there are 4 or 5 way of transmission. Means mechanically it is through metaphagous biting insects. It is transmitted through this foal from utero, from mare to foal. Third will be transmission in the milk through nursing foals, which while they are fed. And besides this, man-made or man-induced, like needle and instrument, we are using needle for the injection of any kind of drugs or any therapeutics from one horse to another, like that. Sometimes we are using the equipments or aids for the different horses. We are sometimes using one horses and like that. So and sometimes hydrogenic also through our veterinary aids and equipments also. So we are also transmitting our responsible for transmission of such type of viruses. So it may be also occur, but naturally there will be mechanical transmission through metaphagous, first point. Second, through mare to foal, and third will be through milk or colostrum during nursing, means while they are feeding this foal through milk. So during that course, it may occur. Besides this, mechanical there may also be some many reasons for transmission of virus. Okay. So what is pathogenesis? How it is causing disease? So once the horses are infected, means virus is lost from an infected horses to the healthy horses by any method. But we shall be focusing here for the insect mode of transmission, because that one is the chief way of transmission, principal way of transmission. So they remain latent, means once they has been lodged in the healthy horses, so they remain latent and doing nothing. Horse will be appear as normal as something. So once the horse become can say stressed, because sometimes due to excessive exercises, there may be some diseases that is suppressing immunity, or basically it is stress. Means heavy exercises, or if we are using for racing, so during that time we are excessively can say running horses, because they may remain warm all the time, because they have to chase for some target. So in such conditions, these let's say the conditions flare up, means the viruses become active, and their activity starts there. Okay, and during that course, these viruses recurring episodes of fever, anemia, weight loss, depression, body weight loss, blood persistent blood lymphocyte will be increased. There will be a regular intermittent febrile condition. So all these activities are visible. Intermittent, like sometimes the horses appears healthy, sometimes it is getting some trouble, or it becomes febrile or not like that. So by intermittent fever or such type of health problems, horses lose their value. They are not of use. Sometimes they are not of efficient for their purpose. So they are sold out for petty amounts, or sometimes they are even abandoned, kicked off from the stud farms. This happens. They kick off. We are no more interested in these horses, so they can say uh, leave these horses abandoned. So at, at one time, the horse is living a stress condition throughout, watering here and there, and the person or owner who has owned it, he has invested a substantial amount for purchasing and maintaining it. He has lost all these things because he got nothing except stress and like that. So this is a type of economic loss. So this happens. Okay. So EIA may appear in equine infectious anemia may be appearing due to antigenic changes. Sometimes antigenic changes, sometimes new variant appears like that. Okay, sometimes it is in silently, it remains in the macrophages or monocytes. Okay, even neutrophils, professional these phagocytes, and many a times where that they are infecting the hematopoietic cells, these progenitor cells of the erythrocyte or blood cells. So these are the property of retroviruses. So automatically there is a deficiency of erythrocytes, and once the erythrocytes number decreases in the cell, anemia automatically appears, because the lowering, for any reason, lowering or depression in the number of erythrocytes is technically termed as anemia. It may be due to less number of blood cells that are produced by this host cell, or any organism. It may be due to lysis, because although number of cells are produced in substantial amount and required amount, but due to some reasons it is getting hemolyzed. Okay, so due to which this excessive hemolysis, RBC is not available, because the RBC has to be intact. It has to be remain intact to carry out oxygen and other activity. Basically, we are this RBC as a function of carrying out the oxygen. They have a principal function. Besides this, they may be also be having antigenic and other properties. So we need not to be messed upon like on those things. Simply an message. And due to this immunological action, glomerulitis may also be occurring, because there is a deposition of circulating virus antigen complex in the kidney. So anybody can tell me one thing, that what type of hypersensitivity reaction it will be called. Here, the last statement.
Type 2, type 3, type 3.
Type
These
3,
are
sir.
Type 3.
Type 3, yes.
Very
And
good.
antigen antibody complex banega,
Complexes
sir.
are deposited in different part of the body. Very good. Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Excellent. These two person, Aspi and Rupnarayan. Okay. You will get some bonus marks in Viva in the end term examination. That's the concept is called, because you are applying here. Just it clicked in mind that whether these people can guess it or not, that what type of, because glomerulitis is a type of hypersensitivity reaction. These are occurring, it's a type of hypersensitivity, and these are occurring due to virus, means antigen antibody complex. So it will be a type of type 3 hypersensitivity. So EIAV infection means EIAV virus antibody complex are also example of type 3 hypersensitivity. So you can write as one of the example of, while you are answering the hypersensitivity, if it is a long answer question, so you can put one example in there. For example, antigen antibody circulating EIAV dash antibody complex in the kidney. deposition of the EIB kidney and nephritis, glomerularitis, like that. Okay, very good, very good. So incubation period is also of longer duration. Can you guess? Many a times I have taught you that it is 2 days, 7 days, like that. Okay, not more than that. But you can see here 1 week to 3 weeks. Almost it is touching 1 month.
क्योंकि ये persistent है
ये
इसलिए
क्रोनिक है सर, ये
Chronic,
क्रोनिक
it is not a
करा था।
virulent one. Chronic है, very good.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Chronic
sir,
है,
not
तो
virulent.
धीरे धीरे इसका नशा चढ़ेगा and धीरे धीरे it will be affecting, but बहुत असर होगा लंबा, ठीक है, तो डैमेजिंग है. It will be highly variable. Okay, antibody develops. ये एंटीबॉडीज का एक बताता हूँ मैं आपको ना कि 7 to 14 days में antibodies is general perception. It's a general perception. Antibody formation against any antigen, it is theoretically, even I have seen experimentally also that I have to collect the blood from after vaccination. I was supposed to collect blood at regular interval, weekly interval. So I started on 0 day, 7 day, 14 days, 21 days, like that. So rare cases I have seen, but it came to my test. I can assure you that starts at 7 days. Antibody formation starts at 7 days, not lesser than that, and it reaches the minimum. It is visible or detectable at 14 days or 15 days, and at 21 days the antibody formation is heightened. Means maximum antibody whatever has to be formed in that very host. The antibody quantity may be vary from one person to another, but for we are considering one particular host, so the maximum antibody will be formed on the 21 days. Okay, and it will exist for 2 to 3 months. After that, the antibody titer, means concentration of antibody gradually, I can say after 3 months, it gradually perishes, means the antibody concentration lowers down, and finally it becomes non-detectable. It happens, it's a normal dynamics, because experimentally I have seen so many times for different reasons while working for this immunological work and biology and vaccinology, basically vaccinology. So these are the normal phenomena, and here also same thing. Okay, so that's why we have to recommend that after 3 months, 4 months, like that, if it is a short-term immunity, so we are recommending that you must take booster dose. So the same thing is happening in corona vaccine, whatever it may be, vaccine, Covishield, it may be anything, it may be, but all are recommending that you must take after 1 month, like that. So they are not lingering, because by the time your antibody titer will be at maximum peak level, and as soon as it will start declining, after 21 days or 1 month, it starts slowly declining. And it declines at maximum up to 3.5 months, like that I have seen. I have never seen that any animal, I have tried it on animal, that I have never seen that any animal has got persistent this immunity, vaccinal immunity, up to 4 months. I have never seen. Even I can say you that 1,000 animals I have tested or experimenting, including poultry, sometimes cattle and poultry, like that. So thousands candidates I have studied, but I have never seen anywhere that hardly it has can say having protective immunity up to 4 months. Up to 3 months, I have seen so many cases. After 3.5 months, 3.5 months, little cases like 10-20% animals have been revealed their protective immunity, but never beyond 3.5 months, like that. I have never seen. Okay, it may be, but it doesn't give to my notice. Okay, so these are incubation period. There are 3 clinical forms. One is acute, chronic, and inapparent. Inapparent is more dangerous because the inapparent is not visible, and worse is solely just like demon. they are deteriorating slowly, but it is not visible or detectable that termite has attacked our can say wood or any door or any wooden can say furnitures in our houses. But when they damage entirely, then they are detectable. So that's a tragedy. That the inapparent is the most dangerous one. Okay, so you at least you remember that there are three clinical forms: acute form, chronic form, and third is inapparent form. Okay, so what is the acute form? What type of symptoms it will be visible? So in acute form, there will be fever, high fever, anemia will be visible, and there will be petechia, extensive petechia on the mucous membrane. So there will be high rise of temperature that will be, let's say, a horse will be, you can say, striving hard, or sometimes it will be struggling. Okay, and therefore for this year there will be anorexia, okay, dullness, depression, all that. So acute form has a different way. At least you remember fever, high rise of temperature. There will be blood-laden feces and petechia. And there will be anemia, anemic condition will appear. It appears in the acute phase. In the chronic form, horse will not having so severe kind of symptoms. So temperature will be a little bit higher. So it will be appearing that yeah, some temperature has risen. So you will administer one antibiotic. So temperature will decline, and the horses will appear normal. That is nothing wrong was with that horses. It was just a normal feature. So your concentration deflect from that horses. So in the meantime, it is deteriorating again and again. So again, that feature will be appearing. Again, you are can say giving those drugs, and due to which their anemia and regular this chronic weight loss, appetite, and all that. So there will be wasting, means that there will be weight loss. Horses will be losing its activity, agility. Especially horses are considered an agile animal. So they remain alert all the time. Even they are not, can say, sitting. They can sleep by standing alone due to what? The horses can sleep while standing.
बोट शेप स्टर्नम, बोट शेप स्टर्नम की वजह से।
और सर एक उसका कोई साइड में लिगामेंट होता है, वो एक स्पेशल लिगामेंट प्रेजेंट होता है, उसका नाम मैं बता रहा हूँ।
यही तो बोल रहे हैं। हाँ,
ये एसेसरी लिगामेंट सर,
चेक लिगामेंट बोलते हैं।
यस सर, चेक लिगामेंट, यस।
हमारा कितना टाइम से हमें याद है। आप ये सब चीजों को याद रखना चाहिए। ये कॉमन जनरल, नॉट फॉर द ये sake of veterinary, but for general knowledge also. Somebody is asking you, yeah, tell me, घोड़ा क्यों नहीं सोता है? Some common man or somewhere any people are asking, because many of them are knowing. Whosoever has kept horses or the reared horses, they know these features. So why they are doing so? While they can sleep while standing. So you are, yeah, check ligament, don't like yeah. Clear, you remember clear cut check ligament that has been taught to us during UG classes, and still these are the some general knowledge type question. Okay, chaliye, yeah, rakha. In apparent form, in majority of signs are not visible because the horses will appear as normal as nothing, but slowly, and this form is most dangerous because once the symptoms appears, everything has been smashed. So the horses can't be saved in apparent form. Slowly they are appearing in apparent means subclinical form, means they are having no clinical signs or symptoms detectable. Horse will appear normal, fever will be slightly rise, so it will be that yeah, it's not a fever, febrile condition. So everything will go. So in apparent form is also there, but you remember this acute and chronic form. Okay, now diagnosis. First is clinical signs and symptoms. Second is laboratory confirmation. We are confirming through different battery of tests. it includes serological test, and second is agar gel precipitation test or agar gel immunodiffusion test. Okay, and the AGID test is also known as Coggins test. Okay, and this one is important because many a times questions are asked, and Coggins test is still considered as gold standard for this international trade of horses. Still, we are using Coggins test. You have to put, suppose you are taking horses, exporting, sending it to other countries. So you have to provide this Coggins test negative, then only at the airport and or the ship, this port, at the port or harbor, they will be checking that, yeah, your horses are Coggins test negative, then only you can transfer. So Coggins test is still considered as gold standard, internationally accepted. Although it is a very simple test, agar gel precipitation test is a simple test they are using, and these many of the stud farms like at Bombay and Pune, okay, they are using this Coggins test as a routine. They have laboratory, separate laboratory. They employ one veterinarian or technician, and they are regularly testing this for EIV, okay, equine infectious anemia virus. For they are regularly testing each and every horses at regular interval. Periodically they are testing, and whenever they are detecting that, yeah, some horses are, they simply segregate them, they test it, they try to check it, or simply they if it is not can say curable, in the most cases they segregate it and sell it to other persons or other agencies, whosoever do not use, because racing horses are quite precious, and any or even one loss of their any let's say lot, single horse is lost or disease, become disease, so they lose crores of rupees. Okay, so just remember Coggins test is important and internationally acceptable, that they are deemed as this gold standard for the testing of horses. Okay, so Coggins test is a immunoprecipitation test. It's a gold standard as per OIE also, I was just telling. Okay, and it can detect antibody in 2 to 3 weeks, because in the 3 weeks almost antibody is clearly detectable in any animals, any species. Okay, and within 48 hours, yeah, it can be done in 2 days. It is possible. Okay, Coggins test. This one is one demo that how Coggins test is performed. Simply this band appearance of band indicates that these samples are positive. Here also, this one is practically appearing, let's say, and this one is a sketch diagram showing how